Breaking news!
We interrupt this program with urgent developments from the world of the Golden Compass.
New evidence has surfaced, raising serious concerns about the magisterium, an authority long believed to protect morality and guide society.
But tonight, that image is being challenged.
Our investigation asks a critical question. What happens when institutions that claim to protect people begins to control them instead?
The magisterium presents itself as a moral authority. It defines what is right and wrong, what is considered sin, and what knowledge is acceptable. But this power comes at a cost.
Reporters suggest that the magisterium limits access to knowledge, suppresses independent thinking, and punishes those who question its authority.
In this system, truth is no longer something people discover, it's something they are told.
And when people are not allowed to question what they're told, control replaces freedom.
Our investigation has covered even more disturbing claims. Sources suggest that the magisterium has been secretly conducting experiments on children.
These experiments involve separating children from their demons, something widely understood to be deeply harmful.
Officials claim these actions are necessary to protect children from sin.
But this raises a serious concern. When harm is justified as protection, what is truly right? We have obtained what insiders describe as evidence from a facility known as Bolvingar.
At this location, children are taken and subjected to these procedures. Witnesses describe fear, confusion, and sense of loss.
Rather than protecting innocence, these actions appear to strip it away.
This suggests that the magisterium is not preserving humanity, but controlling it at its most vulnerable stage. We spoke with a key witness, Lyra Belacqua. They kept saying it was for our own good, that it would help, but it didn't feel right. You shouldn't have to hurt people to do something good.
Lyra's words reveal something powerful. She does not rely on authority to define what is right. Instead, she relies on her understanding of others, on empathy, instinct, and connection.
In a world controlled by power, her perspective stands out.
We also spoke with a former insider who agreed to remain anonymous.
At first, we believed in what we were doing. We thought it was necessary, that we were protecting people. But over time, it became clear it wasn't about protection. It was about control. They used religion to justify everything.
One figure closely connected to these actions is Mrs. Coulter. She presents herself as caring, intelligent, and trustworthy.
But her actions suggest something far more dangerous. She represents how power can be hidden behind kindness and how control can be justified as moral responsibility.
This use of power is not limited to religious institution. Lord Asriel stands in opposition to the magisterium. He rejects its authority and seeks truth beyond its control.
However, his actions raise different concern. In his pursuit of knowledge, he is willing to sacrifice others.
This shows that power can be dangerous, even when it's not tied to religion, if it's not guided by moral limits.
Investigation reveals a clear pattern. On one side, the magisterium uses religion to justify control. On the other, individuals like Asriel reject that control, but risk becoming just as harmful.
In both cases, power becomes disconnected from humanity. But Lyra represents something different. She represents a higher truth, one based not on authority, but on empathy, connection, and the ability to recognize right from wrong.
This story is more than just a fictional narrative in society. It is a warning.
A warning that power, especially when justified as moral, can be misused. That institutions meant to protect can become systems of control.
But it also reminds us of something important, that truth does not come from power alone. It comes from questioning, from connection, and from courage to stand out against what feels wrong.
Because when power goes unquestioned, it stops protecting and starts controlling.